6 months ago, I was sitting there in the physio and I was told I would not be able to run for a while and I'd have to start my training up all again, delaying progress, and I was feeling really crushed and disappointed. Similarly, a week or so ago, I was sitting in the physio's office, afraid that the same thing would happen and that I would have to start all over again, feeling really crushed and defeated was how I was. So, a wise person learns from his mistakes. A wiser person learns from mistakes of others. That's why I'm sharing this today with you. And if you listen, you'll learn 3 key lessons for all things running and some bonus tips as well, sprinkled in there, of what I want to instill in you today. I'm Salvatore, a simple 9 to 5 office worker with dreams of crossing the finish line faster than I ever thought possible. Ride my bike here and there. But effectively, I want to share with you today this so you can go away and you can benefit from what I'm about to share. So the first step, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. What do I mean by this? So you see, the thing is, back when I kind of stumbled across my initial injury 6 months ago, I was running so much, running so often, really enjoying it, and just thinking I could push myself more and more every single run, faster and faster, until basically what I'd done is 2 really fast runs within 24 hours of each other, and with increased mileage and not a lot of rest, led to a situation where I'd almost done a shin splint in my leg, which is basically where the bone has suffered damage from pounding the pavement. Luckily, it wasn't that extreme, but it reminded me, or was a warning sign, that I would have to stop, slow down, and start again. So the prevention I was now given was that when running, I would have to go a lot slower for a longer period of time and build things up. If I just done that and been patient, I would have been able to continue running from, say, December, January, 6 months ago, when I was initially diagnosed with this issue, up until now. So my progress would have been so much more advanced. I'd be so much more faster. I would have likely already been under 20 minutes of 5K. And so you see how this kind of snowballs. But that being said, I am grateful because when I saw the physio the other day, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I attribute all of that to the fact this time I was being more preventative in my runs. For example, I had been really disciplined in running a lot slower over a longer period of time. So what I mean by that is I would have in my mind a pace to run, which was 5 minutes 30 to 6 minutes a K. Pace per K is the measurement of how many minutes or time it takes for you to run a K. The higher that number, the longer it takes to run a K, therefore slower you are relatively. And then the smaller that number, the shorter, the quicker, faster you are in running that K and executing it. So I'm really grateful that I acted on that, as well as improving my stride at my slower Ks to kind of take the pressure off a certain area that had suffered that issue. And then also, reducing the amount of speed and faster runs considerably and really scaling that back, which is why I want to take you on to the second lesson. Have a trusted advisor and confine in someone your goals, and they will be able to help you get better. So what I mean by this is the physio that I got in contact with and had an appointment with is also a runner. So he shares the frustrations and feelings of wanting to get faster. So by kind of sharing with him, hey, I've done all this training, previously I had, this, which that physio had diagnosed, or, one of his colleagues, I want to be able to do this race in a couple of days. Am I cleared for it? So knowing if I can actually compete in an upcoming race, which I'll talk about in another video. And then also, do I have the same issue as what I had 6 months ago? Ran some tests and were able to confirm that I didn't have what I thought I would. I think I just probably felt a little bit tender, but it was right to go and see him. He didn't laugh at me for seeing him. He was very understanding of what I was trying to do, and he kind of explained to me, look, I can understand your concern for not wanting to get to where you were 6 months ago. So basically what we did as a plan, he kind of came up with an idea of the type of runs I'd be able to do and how to factor the speed session back into my kind of running, so I can progress towards my goals in a safe manner, but also getting faster without jeopardizing my health or injuring myself. So we continue to building on that progress, which is why it's important to have someone with that experience or that ability to give you that level of coaching, so you have confidence in following something, so that you know you'll be in a much better position, which is what I'm very grateful for doing. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have known if I could keep pushing, or I might have taken a big break. So having that really helps to clear up a lot of uncertainty, which is kind of why you need to be able to confide in someone or trust to share what you're going through, and they'll be able to work through it. For example, in saying that I was going to do the run, we identified that Wednesdays, which is the time of this running race, would be my faster runs, but I wouldn't be running 100%. I'd be running 80%, at that run. And then on the next week, the Wednesday, it's kind of like a rest week for the event. So I'd be doing an 80% run, which is called a tempo run, which he explained to me. So all that kind of helped me feel an aha moment, because what I had done to sort of get to that point where I was, again, sitting at that physio, was I had done some interval runs, which is five 1 kilometer like laps, where each 1 kilometer I'm running at a very fast race pace of under 4 minutes a K, which is quite taxing to be on and off again, on and off again. Whereas what he was proposing was to do a tempo run, which is 20 to 30 seconds slower than that pace, and more controlled environment without stopping and starting, and just one kind of distance, which I feel is a lot more sustainable. And having kind of done some of that already, I can feel that my body is quite receptive to that without it feeling the stress. It's kind of like a nice balance where I can get the gains of the speed without necessarily feeling that I'm jeopardizing my health potentially, or my body's ability to do what it needs to do. Which then takes us to my third point, which is the final lesson, if you will. You need to understand, or what I needed to understand, was that running is a long game, and you will improve and get quicker faster than you think, if that makes sense. Like, results will come to you before you almost expect them. So stay patient, you'll get the results. And by staying patient and being disciplined, you can continue to build and build and build, again, with the prevention, having a trusted advisor to continue to get faster and faster and faster. It's a long game, the rabbit and the hare, which I'll talk about in another video. But basically, the idea of what I'm trying to get at is it takes time, but also you will get rewards faster than you think. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you kind of look at if you were to start running like 5Ks, obviously scale up to 5Ks and then run 5K race, you look at your first 5K and then you do one after that, and then so on and so forth. You probably see that, you improve, but then when you actually look at, people's average time of running a 5K, you'll actually be able to see kind of where you are relative to that. And I guess that's what I was kind of able to come across and understand. So last year when I competed in a running race, the City to Bay, and did 6Ks, while I considered myself somewhat proficient or okay at doing a 5K or kind of around that distance, when I came across a 6 and not feeling particularly perfect, coming up to that race, I was able to still put in a time that put me really, really high up there compared to a lot of other people in that race, which is kind of quite surprising in that respect, and quite motivating as well. So it's kind of the combination of knowing, it's like a sense that knowing you're on the right path, which helps you continue to want to push. But you need to kind of temper that expectation a little bit with kind of the first lesson and also the second somewhat, to make sure that you're kind of not overdoing it. Because the thing with running is that it's very addicting, but the body takes some time to adjust to it. And if you're quite fit already, like myself through cycling, you'll kind of have this false sense of security where you keep pushing, and then you kind of realize you've gone too far for what your body's adapted to or conditioned itself for, which is why I'm about to share the following bonus tip: cross-training and how to cross-train. So when I kind of had the issue of kind of where I was feeling before I saw the physio a couple of weeks ago, my leg being in a bit of pain, I simply did the following. I kind of took a little bit of a break on the running. I ran really, really slowly after some days, just not quick, just really, really slow to kind of see where it was, and it felt a bit funny. And then what I had done was, compared to 6 months ago, I had an indoor bike set up. So I ran this program called Zwift, which is like an online racing video game where you can kind of be against people all around the world. You can do very specific, difficult workouts to strengthen your speed and aerobic fitness, your conditioning, without kind of the risk of actually running. See, cycling is quite a not as intensive sport, unless of course you fall off your bike. But by being indoors and having a very specific targeted training, I was able to kind of reap the benefits of doing, say, a faster run without necessarily jeopardizing my health. And in addition to that, kind of before doing the Zwift, I was kind of cross-training by implementing kind of like some resistance bands to do some upper body strength work to kind of just build my overall strength and, try something different to do in the morning opposed to running. So basically I'd kind of shifted away from making running the be all and end all, which is kind of like where I was 5 to 6 months ago, which probably led to more of the point that I was more likely to overdo it because I didn't kind of have as much of a spread or balance in other outlets I could do. So I was really, really committed to the running. So it's kind of like a more relaxed way to kind of taper that expectation and kind of progress about it in a very smart way. So kind of, because I was scared of doing, a lot of, or wanting to get the benefits of doing the speed work in terms of running. So instead of, I channeled that energy into, finding a speed workout equivalency on the bike and running a program that basically gave me a really good fitness workout, again, without the risk of that. So that's my bonus tip. If you have a bike or get a bike and start pedaling that, if you can afford an indoor trainer as well, that's fantastic. And you can jump on that, get Zwift, and then basically use that to cross-train for your running. So you can that way do a lot of the, aerobic building or do very specific workouts when you kind of want to take a break from running or you want to scale up your running over time, which is what you should be doing. Because you've got to understand that the injuries relative to the amount of intensity you do by also your recovery. So if you're doing like, day in, day out, a lot of runs at a very quick pace, you're really increasing the threshold of, getting yourself injured, which is kind of why I wanted to share this video today. So you've kind of got something to take away with you. So that understanding prevention is important, and it kind of saved me this time when I saw the physio, because he was like, well, you've ran a really slow pace for, 5 to 6 months following this injury. So you've actually built a really good base, but like it still doesn't hurt to kind of be aware that the type of interval run that you want to do might not at the moment be such a good idea. So we'll do a tempo run instead. So there's kind of the benefit of interlaying the prevention with the advisory to then go towards your goals and then basically get the sense that you'll be able to achieve what you want to achieve. And that kind of then factors into, should be taken with a grain of running's a long game. So you don't have to find, or you'll get to your goals in a short term. So by setting like long-term running goals, you kind of get the sense that, well, it won't happen in like a couple of weeks. It will probably happen in a couple of months, which will take years, season after season, to kind of really build that conditioning in your body and be injury-free so you can keep progressing, like leveling up your character, so to speak. So why I wanted to share this with you is, I'm, a key proponent of what I say is to conquer mountains and conquer life. But in conquering that mountain, you, especially in the context of running, you want to be able to do so in a way that doesn't jeopardize yourself in terms of risk of injury. And then also like by being able to leverage the fun that you have with the running in a very smart and sensible way by having an advisor. And then of course, knowing that that mountain itself that you're conquering of running and life as well in general is actually quite a long one, but you'll kind of have little dips in that mountain, which is kind of the benefit and the reaping of that sensation that you're making progress. Like I'm saying, like the averages of a lot of people's like running times around the world is actually a lot slower than you'd think. So that kind of means that already we're quite advanced athletes if we kind of put some time in and actually start training in a very smart way. So you should be mindful of that. So as I always say, thank you very much. But more importantly, as always, conquer mountains, conquer life. Thank you.